says, and you shall make at the line holy garments. And you shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother. Notice, for two purposes, for glory and for beauty. For glory and for beauty. One of these days, we need to come here and address this issue that so many of us avoid. The issue of how to dress in church. Because we will need to come into this and understand. We don't just dress for decency. No. We also dress for glory. We also dress for beauty. We don't just dress to cover our organs or our body parts that are private. No. We also dress for glory. There's something about our dressing and the glory of God. Verse number 3. He says, so you shall speak to all the gifted artisans whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. Ni mavazi inatengenezwa ni nguo, lakini zinahitaji people that have been filled with the spirit of wisdom. Not just the skill. That the people that are working on these garments, because they've been called holy garments. So these clothes needs a holy tailor. Now this is how you understand. Some of the tailors in Italy, they are not fit to make our garment. I say it's for another day. So you shall speak to all the gifted artisans, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. Wow. Every artisan is a carrier of a spirit. Kuna aina ya mavazi inavutia roho fulani. Ndio maana kuna aina ya mavazi ukivaa, kila mtu anakupigia picha kwa barabara. Wao nafikiri ni urembo, si urembo, ni mavazi, ni ya kwao. Umevaa nguo anazielewa ni za kikwao. Amen. Some two old women went to visit, their daughter in the U.S. So when they went to visit their daughter in the U.S., when they landed, the airport where they landed, she had given them, given them a paper. When you come, just show anyone this paper, they will direct you. So that is how even the airline directed them. Until they got to the place where, outside of the airport, where they could wait on the lounge. They could wait for the one who was receiving them, their daughter, to come and receive them. So when they were seated there, their daughter was late. Ordinary, dimensions of Kenyans, we are late by nature. So even in the U.S., she was late. So where they were seated, they sat there and they were talking. And they started becoming impatient, another characteristic of a Kenyan. I believe though my heart, the way Kenyans are late, even in heaven, all the other people would die last. We can arrive in heaven, mapema. No, we will disturb God. Will disturb God. So now they are seated there and they've started becoming impatient. So they started speaking in their mother tongue. And they are asking, sasa huyu alisema tukuje hapa na hakuji kutuchukua. Where do we go from here? And we are in a nation of other people. We don't know anywhere. Where do we go? A lady that works in that airport was passing right where they were seated. And she stopped and she asked them in the same mother tongue, where did you want to go? And they so much got worried that in another country, there are other people who speak their own language. There are some clothes you put on. In another country, they know these are our clothes. People filled with wisdom. That they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister to me as a priest. Look at verse number 36. I'm jumping so many things. Verse number 36, 37, 38, he says, you shall also make a plate of pure gold. Now, this plate, you will engrave on it, like the engraving of a signet. And this is the engraving. Holiness to the Lord. It is in capital letters. Every other thing was normal language. But now, the plate that you will engrave this plate. Holiness to the Lord. Let's look where it goes. Verse number 37. He says, and you shall put it on a blue cord, that it may be on the turban. Tafadhali mtafute wa Korinto mwambie hiyo kirebao kuna kitu inakosekana. And you shall put it on a blue cord, that it may be on the turban. The cord ni kama kakauzi, is nikamba. That you put it on a blue cord, that it may be on the turban. It shall be on the front of the turban. Verse number 38. God says, so it shall be on Aaron's forehead. So hiyo kitaba yenye amevaa, ako kakitu kako hapa kameandikwa holiness unto the Lord. Then he says, and Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things which the children of Israel hallow in all their holy gifts, and it shall always be on his head. It shall always, anytime that Aaron is coming for prayer, anytime that Aaron is coming into the temple, the first qualification is that he has holy garments. The other qualification is that on these garments there is a turban. The other qualification is that this turban has a signet here that has been engraved, holiness unto the Lord, so that it shall always be on his forehead, that he may be accepted before the Lord. Now hear me, child of God. Now this was a demand of God. The entire of Exodus chapter number 28 covers one topic: the garment of the priest. The entire chapter, God is giving details, even how the vest, the tunic will be woven. He is giving details how everything about them, everything about the garment, even the length of the trouser. He says it shall be from the waist all the way up to below the knees. Even the length of the trouser, Jehovah says it shall start from the waist and it shall go beyond the knee. In other words, you don't come before God in hot pants. But now when we preach like this, they say, oh, you know, you're preaching the Old Testament. Okay, let's stop. So understand, the entire chapter number 28 is dealing with one thing: the garment of the priest. Now hear me, child of God. In our New Testament setup, we have a garment. In our New Testament setup, if you will read from Romans chapter number 13, you read verse number 11, verse number 12, verse number 13. Let me read just a few of them. They say this: and do this, knowing the time, it is a high time to awake from sleep. From now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. Keep reading. He says, the night is fast spent, the day is at hand. Therefore cast off the works of darkness. He says, let us put on the armor of light. Even if we will not do the garment that the priest used to do, the turban, the trouser and everything, the tunics and everything, he says we have a garment that we must put on. It's called the garment, which is called the armor of light. Understand, this is different from Ephesians 6 verse number 12, which is the armor of warfare. Now this one is called the armor of light. The next line, he says this, that we put on the armor of light, number 1, verse number 13. Quickly, please. He says, let us walk properly as in the day, not in revelry and drunkenness, not in lewdness and lust, not in strife and envy. Look at verse number 14. He says, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ. So even if we may not put on a garment of linen, we may not put on a turban that has a signet engraving, we have garments that we are supposed to put on if we will stand in the most holy place and pray unto God. He talks about two garments. The first garment is the armor of light. The other garment that he talks about is the Lord Jesus himself, that put on the Lord Jesus Christ. So there is no way that our God will answer any prayer if we have not put upon us the armor of light. 1 John chapter number 1, verse number 5, verse number 6, verse number 7, and I'll stop at verse number 8. Quickly, please. He says that this is the message which we have heard from him, the Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm declaring it to you this evening, that God is light, and in him there is no darkness. So if I will have fellowship with him in prayer, if I will pray and he hear and answer my prayer, as he is light, I must put on the garment of light. I must put on the armor of light. So he says, verse number 6, quickly, please don't wait for me, that if we say we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and we don't practice the truth. He will repeat that in another dimension. He says, but if we walk in the light, we have the garment which is called light, and we step into it, and we walk in this garment called light. He says that now we have fellowship with one another. He says, and the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ, his son, it cleanses us from sin. Verse number 8 says, but if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. Now you read the rest of the verses. Now, he said that God is light. In him there's no darkness. So he says, if we will stand in the place of prayer and have koinonia and have fellowship with him, have a conversation, that I can pour into him, he can pour into my life. I can ask and he will answer. I can seek and I will find. I can knock and he will open the door. Then the first thing he's looking for, what garment am I putting on? But now we stand in a generation where we come before God, but whatever we are putting on as a garment is a no consequence for anyone. We really don't mind. We really don't trouble ourselves. We want to stand before God, putting on whatever garment we want. But understand, God said in Exodus 28, for anyone that will be a priest, they must put on a garment. So we cannot force God to receive any sacrifice. We cannot force God to allow his glory to descend on us if we have first of all not put on the garment that is supposed to be the garment that we step in to the place of prayer with.